Alright, so yesterday you started working with polynomials and factoring them into two different binomials. And here are two examples of what they looked like. One thing that was the same yesterday, notice the last term was always plus. You had plus 8 or you had something like plus 20. Now the inner term might have been positive or negative, but the last term was always plus. So you knew your options for factoring x squared minus 6x plus 8, in order to get a positive 8, you knew that it was going to have to be x minus something times x minus something, because a negative times a negative would give you a positive, or it could have been x plus something times x plus something to give you a positive 8. Alright? Take a second, just as a quick review, what would be your factorization for this? First of all, think, would it be x minus or x plus x plus? Hopefully you're looking at this right here and you notice that the sum of the factors of 8 are going to have to be negative, so the only way to get a negative would be if you are working with two negative factors. So that minus there tells you that it's going to have to be x minus. And then just think, what are the possibilities for the factors of 8? It could be 8, 1. Well, if you do negative 8 and negative 1, negative 8 plus negative 1 doesn't give you negative 6. So hopefully you see pretty quickly that x minus 4 and x minus 2 would be the factorization for this. We'll look down at this one. You've got x squared plus 9x plus 20. So again, you know, to get the x squared, it's going to have to be x and x. In order to get a positive 20, it's either going to have to be minus or plus. Well, what does this tell you right here? Since that's plus right there, the only way to get a sum that is positive is for them to both be positive. So you know it's going to have to be x plus. And then if you think, what are the factors of 20 that have a sum of 9? You could think 1, 20, 2, 10, but you pretty quickly see that, sorry about that, 5 times 4 is, what's happening? Do you see what's happening here? Alright, well, this is just practice, it doesn't matter. So the 5 times 4 is going to give you 20, 5 plus 4 is going to give you the 9. Alright, well today, look at that. What's different about this? Now do you notice that you've got a minus 45 at the end? So, let's think what we can do. In order to get a product that is negative, what kind of numbers are you going to have to multiply together? Alright, so keep that in mind. Well, you can start just like you did before. You know you want to try to break this into two binomials. The first term, the only way to get the x squared is if the first term is x and the first term is x. Alright, well now, in order to get negative 45, what does that tell you about the signs? Well, a positive times a positive is a positive, a negative times a negative is a positive. So the only way to get a product that's negative is a positive and a negative. So if your last sign is a negative, you know one of these binomials is going to have to have plus and one is going to have a minus in order to make that negative. Alright? But still, the sum of the factors has to equal 4. Alright? So let's just focus on the minus 45. Think about some different factors of negative 45. You could think about, let's just write down the factors here, and then just think about what the sum of them will be here. So look at the factors of negative 45. You could say 15 and negative 3. Well, 15 times negative 3 gives you the negative 45, but what's the sum of 15 and negative 3? That gives you a sum of 12. But what is your sum supposed to be? It's supposed to be positive 4, so that doesn't work. Well, you could try switching the signs. What if you made it negative 3 and positive 15? That still gives you the negative 45, but what do I do here? No, that should be should be, that's the same thing. Let's change the signs. Let's make this negative 15 and that positive 3. So that still gives us negative 45, but now do you see the sum would be negative 12? That still doesn't give you the 4 and the 5, the 4. So think about now, what are other factors of negative 45? You could think 5 and 9. Well, what if you made 5 positive and 9 negative? That would give you negative 45. 5 plus negative 9 gives you negative 5, negative 4. Right? It's getting close, but it's supposed to be positive 4. So what happens? What happens if you make this negative 5 and this positive 9? Negative 5 plus positive 9 gives you positive 4. So there's your clue telling you that this is what you need to see for your factorization. So we need the positive 9, so that means it's going to be a plus 9. And we know we need negative 5, so that's going to give us the minus 5. And if you were to check this and by multiplying, x times x gives you the x squared, x times the minus 5 gives you the minus 5x, and then distribute the 9. 9 times x gives you the positive 9x, and then the 9 times minus 45 gives you the negative 45. And then when you combine these like terms, you end up with x squared plus 4x minus 45, and that's what you were supposed to get. Alright, so your factorization would be that right there. Alright, look at one more. Again, you see minus 18 at the end. What does that tell you? That's your clue that when you have your two binomials, x and x will give you the x squared, but in order to get negative 18, one of those will have to be positive, one of those will have to be negative. Alright, so think, what are some factors of negative 18 that will give you a sum now of negative 3? Well, factors of negative 18. You could try 9 and negative 2. That gives you negative 18, but what's 9 plus negative 2? 7, isn't it? That doesn't give you the negative 3. Well, what if you switch the signs? What if you make it negative 9 and positive 2? That still gives you negative 18, but now your sum is negative 7. Well, now go on and think of other factors. You could try 1 and 18, or 1 and negative 18, but also 6 and 3 are factors. So what if you try negative 6, positive 3? That gives you negative 18. The sum of negative 6 and positive 3 is negative 3, and that matches the negative 3 that you're supposed to have right here. As you practice more of these, you're gonna more quickly be able to find the answer very quickly without having to try so many different possible factors. But try as many as you need until you get it. So here's what we need. We need the minus 6, so the 6 has to go with minus 6. The 3 is positive, so that makes a positive 3, and that should be your factorization. And then quickly you can check it. Distribute the x. X times x gives you x squared. X times the minus 6 gives you minus 6x, and then distribute the 3. 3 times x gives you 3x. 3 times negative 6 gives you negative 18, and then when you combine those, that gives you x squared minus 3x minus 18, which matches what you're supposed to have there. So you know then that this is the correct factorization of that polynomial. So today your practice problems, you're going to have some that have a negative number on your third term, and also there will be some that have a positive, just like you did yesterday. So it'll give you a chance to practice both ways. All right.